Hey y'all, it's time for rolling dice and taking names. In this episode, the guys review games they played at MegaMoose Con, including Tianxia, Aeterna, Wroth, White Castle Duel, and Neuroshima Hex Battle. Plus, can Marty guess the flavor of a new Pop-Tart in taste buds? Inquiring minds want to know.
Hello and welcome to episode number 362. Faithfully, I'm Tony.
I'm Marty. I own this album in high school, Frontiers. Album. It was cassette. I played the mess out of it. Loved it.
Okay. Funny, you said cassette. A friend of ours, he posted something. It's talked about, how our generation, I thought this was hilarious.
Yes.
Where, people whine about how they're getting their music and everything, and how for us, starting out as kids, we had to get our collection in vinyl. Then we moved to 8-track, and then cassettes, then CDs, then streaming, now back to, or MP3s, now back to vinyl.
There you go. Correct.
It's ridiculous.
Hey, so here's the thing. Do you have any old CDs? Because the used CD market is going insane right now. I've got tons of used CDs that I probably have no value for that I think about trading in and get some money for.
You do that. I gave 210 of them to Goodwill when we moved out of this house, probably out of the old house 8 years ago. Because I had it.
Yeah.
I worked at the music store. We've talked about this. I worked at a music store, would get demos, or the stuff that we finished playing with.
Yep.
And so I had a ton of them. And of course, I also subscribed to the record clubs, get 13 for a penny.
Was that not the biggest ripoff ever? But also the thing is what was the thing? It was just a really bad recording. So you weren't getting like the original. You get like a recording of the original, and the quality wasn't good, that sort of deal. But hey, we thought, hey, what a great deal. And all you got to do is buy whatever it was over the next few months.
Right. Oh, which one was I? I never did Columbia House. I think I did BG something. I don't know. I forget.
Oh, yeah. There were a couple of them that BMG or they competed against each other. But yeah, we got that mailer all the time, baby.
That's right. Spent my
12 cassettes, 13 cassettes for a penny.
Yeah.
I was like, heck yeah. But yeah, anyway, so the used CD market is in. There's kind of a used cassette market too. But I was just really surprised at the CDs because I don't see the value of that because that's digital and it's not going to sound any better than MP3s. I don't know. Anyway, that's what it is. I went to a record store and they said, yeah, bring us your old CDs. We want to buy them.
It's not like you can put it in your car and play it anymore. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, but so there is a market for old CD players too. So people are buying older CD players and stuff like that. So I don't know if anybody's making new CD players. People are making new record players, vinyl record players. There's a market for that right now. And I buy stuff on vinyl. I just pre-ordered the Expedition 33 soundtrack on vinyl.
Okay. I don't have a vinyl player. I don't have mega speakers anymore. I have none of that. So I don't need that right now, but I understand we've talked about the quality, the sound, the warmth and all that around vinyl that it brings.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I like having it. I'm actually thinking about buying a kit and building an amplifier by hand. A tube amp. Old school tube amp and everything. Kind of a little craft thing, a hobby, and then actually use it too. I thought that'd be kind of cool.
Oh man, we used to get a magazine with a whole bunch of electronic stuff. Oh, what was that? I can't remember now. Where you could order the parts and build your own stuff. Oh man, I can. Oh, what was that?
I don't remember.
I just remember getting, and you could order and build your own stuff. You could solder and do all that fun stuff, but it's been forever. It wasn't from Radio Shack either, people. No.
Yeah, it was. So my friend, a friend of mine actually turned me on to this because he brought me over to his place, and it was really cool. He bought his tube amp. He's spent thousands of dollars. He's into this. So it's really cool to see the amps kind of glow. Just has a real cool look to it. You have to kind of wait for him to warm up. But I think the really cool thing was his dad was in the Navy and he worked on a nuclear sub. And so they had tons of tubes. And when he left service, he got all these old tubes and got them with him. So my friend is using tubes from the 50s in his system.
Okay.
which is really neat. So he said, because even the tubes, people still make tubes today, but he said there's a different quality from those that even were built in the 50s. And so he showed me his set of, and it has on the side of it, property of the Navy or whatever like that. And there's like storage places for each of the individual tubes and their types and everything.
The Matrix takes over. You're going to be wishing you had some tubes. None of this electronic stuff.
That's true.
Can't hack that stuff.
That's true.
Cannot hack that.
You can't hack a tube. Oh, speaking of vinyl, another album I actually bought on vinyl was Dream Theater's latest album, Parasomnia. And I actually got to go see them in concert a few weeks ago. Dream Theater's one of my all-time favorite bands. They're a prog band. This is the 4th time I've seen them. It was a great show because the original drummer is back with him after having like a 12-year absence. So seeing him back with the band was really cool. And for the first set, they played the entire new album from start to finish, which was kind of neat to see. And they took an intermission. And then after that, just played stuff from their old catalog. And one of the songs they played was a song called Rite of Passage. It's funny, I had actually forgotten this. I was in the music video for Rite of Passage from Dream Theater.
How?
I'm glad you asked that, because I actually posted this. People were asking how the concert was on Discord. And I said it was really cool because I played this song and then I showed a still from the video. And I said, that's me right there. And they said, okay, we want to hear the story of this. So I said, let me put it in the show notes so I don't forget. So here's my story of how I ended up in a Dream Theater video back in 2009. But before they did that, they were making some videos and stuff. All right, so I remember it clearly. It was one Saturday morning. I was out working in the yard, and I had a friend of mine that worked as a casting agent for actors in the area. And she called me up. She said, hey, I know you work with a lot of younger people because of the bands I played with and stuff. And I said, I've got a gig today that I need to get some people to come out for, and it's for a music video. And I didn't know if you knew any young people that were into music that might want to do it. And I said, honestly, right off the top of my head, I don't. I said, I'm just out of curiosity, what band would this be? And she said, Dream Theater. And I said, excuse me? And she said, I've never heard of them. Have you heard of them? I said, yeah, they're one of my all-time favorite bands. And she said, would you be interested? And I said, heck yeah. She said, can you be in downtown Charlotte at this address in 2 hours? I said, yes, I can. So I got ready and headed that way. And I'll go ahead and spoil this part. I was hoping to get to meet the members of the band, but they were not at the location. What we were shooting was kind of the B-roll or the story part of the video. And they recorded them doing the playing and stuff and in New York at their studio. So no, I did not get to meet any members of the band, but I showed up on site. They had the set set up for it. And they said, okay, this is a song. We can't tell you the name of it and you can't hear it. So you're not going to be able to hear it. We're just going to tell you what to do. We're listening to the song and we'll tell you what to do and when to do it. So here, sign this NDA, sign this contract. So I go through a whole bunch of paperwork. And they said, all right, let's get you ready. So they took me to a room and they said, all right, here's the outfit you're going to be wearing. And they put this black mask thing over my head that I could see through. It was sheer, but when you're looking at me, you really couldn't see me very well. And then I got this red robe, long red robe that had a hood, and they affixed the hood to the mask so that it wouldn't move. And I was one of 4 people wearing this outfit. And there is a guy who's kind of like the leader or the head. I guess it's supposed to be like an occult or something like that. I don't know what it was, like a cult. And they said, okay, let's start shooting. So they took us onto the set, and it was a lot of the stuff was performed around this podium that was on set. So if you go and watch this video, Rite of Passage, and I'll put a link to it in our show notes. If you ever see 4 guys behind a podium, I'm the second from the right.
Okay.
Behind the podium. You'll never know because I'm behind them. Because my face is hidden.
So I see 4 guys with a guy in front of them. So you're the second guy from the right. He's got his hand over his chest. He's got a mask
in the back.
Yeah, in the back. You're one of the red robe guys.
Yes, because there is one scene. It's real quick, but we hold our hands out, and you could see my NC State ring. So I forgot to take it off, and so you actually see it in the video. And that's how I remember which one I was, because I see that when it happens. this took until like 10 o'clock at night. It was like a 10-hour shoot for this little thing. So it was like, do this, raise your hand, do this, look this way, look that way, move this way, move to the left, move to the right, look at the guy in the middle. I mean, it was just constant stuff. You know, most of it never gets used, but we had all these shots they can piece together. There's one shot in the video where there's a whole bunch of red robed characters and you see the backs of them and the leaders like up front. So this was all done with green screen. So there's only 4 of us. So they put a green screen in front of a row and we stood there. They moved the green screen. We moved to the next row and we did that like 7 or 8 times. And then they superimposed it to make it look like the room was full of people. But that's just us.
Gotcha.
Through special effects and everything.
Right.
So anyway, there was a really cool experience to go through that, see how they shoot a music video and everything like that. And it was such a treat when it was finally released to actually hear the song and then see, hey, I'm a part of it.
Okay.
And then in the concert to actually see them perform that song.
Okay.
From 2009.
And then you raised your hand and said, "That was me right there. Here, let me get my robe out." Did you get to keep the robe?
No, I got to keep nothing.
Oh, that sucked.
I mean, we got. I forgot how much I got paid. $100. It was something super. It was ridiculously. I mean, it was nothing. No memento. No nothing. Again, we couldn't even hear the song as to what it sounded like. They wouldn't let us even hear it because it had not been officially released yet. The main guy in the video is an actual actor. So he's like a paid SAG person, like a professional actor and stuff. And the rest of us were just kind of filling in. So they had cast him for this particular role. But even his face is masked also. But he was a super nice guy.
Yeah, I just missed the part where you're raising up your hands, and I can't find it again in the video because it's so quick. I mean, it's like, boom, there it was.
It's fast.
I was like, holy, okay, well, that's good. All right, well, you go, Mr. Actor. I mean, I've been in, Duke Energy commercials, so I'm glad.
You did, but we got to see your face, and you had a speaking role, so that's totally different. So
yeah, I had one, but there was another one, but I had no speaking roles. I pushed a button. What can I say? All right, so the concert was good. You enjoyed the concert. That's great. All right. Very good then.
Yes.
What else have you been up to? Because I'll be honest with you, other than dethatching, aerating, seeding the lawn, what else you got?
So I'm aerating on October 4th, October 2nd.
Okay.
Thursday. I can't remember. It's this week, the week of this recording. Oh, is it? Is it the 2nd? I thought it was the 3rd. I have to look it up because I always cut the night before and then stick all the flags down. And if it's the night before, that's our game night. Dude, I'm now kind of concerned. For some reason, I thought it was on Friday. Now I'm scared.
Yeah, long.
It is on Friday, 10/3. Okay. All right, so we're good. All right, so anyway, in our previous episodes, I love to read Arkham horror books. Aconite Publishing makes these Arkham horror themed books. I just finished the latest one, number 2 in the series of Drowned City from Rosemary Jones, one of my favorite authors. She writes a lot of really good stuff in this series. Just finished Nightmare Quest of April May, which is a trilogy the Drowned City stories. And it was a really good read because it has 2 of my favorite characters in it. Carolyn Fern, who's the psychiatrist. If you play these games, you'll probably run across Carolyn Fern in a few of the games, but in every game, you're going to run across Harvey Walters, the older professor at Miskatonic University, and he's in this one too. The premise of it is people all over Arkham are going to sleep and they're not waking up. They're going into a dream world and they can't escape. So the entire thing is like, how do we get these people out of the dream world and everything like that? So it was a very enjoyable read. I think the only little critique I have is that I felt that the climax, it was resolved really quickly. Like it was a big build up to this one moment. And I felt like, that really resolved fast. And it may be because, Tony, I'm used to watching a lot of anime shows where one battle will last 4 episodes. So I'm not used to conflicts resolving that fast in action books. But what it also did is set up the 3rd book, which is also by her, that I'm super excited about reading too, because it focuses even more on Harvey Walters, where he was a secondary character here, and he's going to be kind of a main character there. So Nightmare Quest of April May, another solid read in the Arkham Horror series from Aconite Books or Aconite Publishing.
Look at you being all well read. I'm nowhere near that. You know what is coming up?
What's that?
Guild Wars 2 Halloween.
It is. And the new expansion.
That's right. I need
on
to
October 29th.
pre-order that. But yes, so we need to get ready to play on Guild Wars 2 Halloween.
I mean, it should start any time now. I can't remember when it starts.
It's got to start. It'll probably start in about 2 weeks because they got to get through the everything they're doing right now. But yes, that's it's that time of season. It's pumpkin spice season. Guild Wars 2 Halloween, which we enjoy doing with the Mad King, making sure we're part of that. I mean, it's the fall. The leaves are coming. We're aerating, all that. I mean, there's so much happening at this time of year. I can't believe it. And another big thing that happens near the end of the summer is our good buddy Mark Kell puts on MegaMoose Con, and we were there.
It was a great show. He was pushing about 500 attendees this year, his most ever, which was really nice. His show gets better and better. This year they had several different food trucks out front, which is really, really nice to have. Over that weekend, even though you really aren't far from some fast food places, just having them right out front, and they're high quality stuff. I remember there was on Saturday night, there was a coffee shop that set up and was giving away free iced coffees, and they were I think it was Bluebird Coffee.
I think you're right.
I may be remembering that wrong, but they're in South Carolina. I got one of their cards. They were a super nice couple. I think they actually may be in Greenville because I saw them playing some games with Will Meadows, who was out there from Tantrum House. But yeah, Tony, we got to play a lot of really cool games there. In fact, the two big games we're covering in this episode, we actually played there: Aeterna and Tianxia.
Tianxia, yeah.
Yeah, which was the two big ones that we're going to talk about, plus some smaller games that you're going to get some 5-minute initiatives too. But Friday, before you got there, Fantasy Flight Games has a new starter box for Star Wars Unlimited. This box is meant to be, if you've never played, they've had starter decks, right? But it's just kind of starter decks with little really thin tokens and a small set of rules. What they have in this regular size box is a board. It's a game board, which basically is the play area for each person. And on this board, they have each of the zones with explanations of the zones, the actions you can take on your turn, and little rules reminders all over it. So the board itself helps teach you the game. Our good friend Bert, who's never played the game, said he would be willing to sit and try this game with me. So again, there's two unique decks, and these decks were made specifically for this game. These cards, if you want them, are only in this box. These aren't cards from the existing series. They were made specifically for this box. So the two decks in this are Darth Vader and Leia. So it's kind of old school, classic, original trilogy sort of deal. You have a rule book, which is a nice big rule book to kind of go through it, but they also have a watch to learn video. Bert was willing to watch this 17-minute video. Okay, so here's what's cool about these decks. They're pre-constructed, pre-made, where when you open it says, do not shuffle. So when you start reading through the rule book or watching the video, it will explain, draw these cards into your hand. You should have these cards. Use these cards as resources. Now play this card. This is how it's going to work. So they walk you through the first several hands of your pre-constructed deck. And then they said, okay, you have enough to continue to play on your own. And I didn't say a word as Bert watched this. And he grasped it. So the video worked pretty well. The only thing that was kind of ticky-tacky about the video is as the video went on, they wouldn't tell you which card they resourced. So I remember one time Bert resourced a card, and then the very next thing is says, oh, you should have this card in your hand. But that's the one he resourced. So he had to pause so he could switch cards so he could go through that step. The rules are really, really high level, right? So if you're asking for very gamer questions, they're probably not going to be in the rules, but they're enough to get you started. And Tony, it must have worked because now Bert is into this game.
Oh, yeah.
And I went yesterday and brought some more starter decks, and he's playing, and he's looking at maybe some decks that he can buy and some cards he's interested. So I think that's cool. It just gives us another one of our people that we can play with. So it's one of those things we could play Twin Sons on game night when we're kind of waiting for Mark or whatever, unless we can get Mark into it. So it's just another person to play with, which is really nice. And it was really cool to see him discover some of the nuances of the game. So, okay. So anyway, if you want to learn how to play the game, Star Wars Unlimited Battle Hoth, it's Battle: Hoth is a great starter box. What's killer is it's at Miniature Market, it's only $16.99.
That's unreal.
Because the two starter decks from the original set were like $30, $35. So you get two decks and the board and nice tokens. These are thick, nice tokens that you can use and not the thinner ones that's in the regular starter decks. $16.99. Now, for people who play competitively, warning, FFG has pulled this thing like they did with Netrunner.
Oh.
There are a couple cards in here you only have one copy of. One is Luke and another is a ship. So if you want all the cards, you got to buy 3 copies. Again, it's not that bad. It's 3 times 17. What's that? 41? No, 51. $51. The thing is, though, you may want them. These aren't very powerful cards, but they're just decent cards. And who knows if they may fit in your deck. If they do, and it's that one that you have singles. Some cards you only get 2 of. So in that case, you only need to buy a second. Again, that classic FFG thing they did with Netrunner and Lord of the Rings. However, if you do that, just remember, you could always take the cards that after you've pulled them out, replace them with some of the stuff that you've already got and gift it to somebody else. You're not going to want the board. If you're a regular player, you're not going to use this cardboard player board or that stiff player board. Instead, gift it to somebody so they can learn how to play. Right. So just pass it on.
Yeah. And I mean, Bert was telling me about that. I mean, this is really cool that they're doing this to get people into it. Well, obviously it worked for Bert. I just find it hilarious just how quickly he got into it. You know, I was like, holy cow.
It sounds like he's a former Magic player, has played a lot of Magic. So he understands the CCG, not atmosphere, ecosphere. There it is. There's the word I was looking for. So he knows what's going on and how these things work. So it's not like he's new to TCGs or anything like that. And in fact, after we played the other day, he made the comment and he said, you know, one thing I like about this, he said, this is easier to learn than Magic, but the decisions that you have to make are just as weighty as what they are in Magic. And that's cool. And I appreciate that. And the big thing I think he realized pretty quick was, oh, wow, taking initiative is pretty important. And that's one of the things I appreciate too. There are certain times like you need to go first next round. Even if you sacrifice not playing all the cards you might want to in a particular round, you just need to really go first next round. So the back and forth thing is really nice. I know I've talked a lot about it before. I'm just saying, if you've never played, this is what you want to use. $17, go pick it up. It's right there at Miniature Market for pre-order.
Now, I did hear that it was causing him some sleep deprivation.
Okay, that's fair. I was supposed to bring this up.
Yes, you were.
So he's never played. I've played for several years. And first game, he beat me. I said, okay, you know, I was taking it easy.
You were taking it easy?
I said I was taking it easy. You know, I was more interested in making sure he understood how to play the rules. I wasn't reading the cards very closely. I said, all right, let's swap decks. We swapped decks. He beat me again. I said, all right. No, okay, kid gloves off. Here we go. We're going in now. Let me see. I want to make sure I know how many of each card I have. I don't want to resource this one because there's only one of this. There's only 2 of this. So I was doing all that sort of stuff. He beats me the 3rd game. And I said, we're playing again. He said, you want to switch decks? I went, no, I'm just going to stick with this one. We play a 4th game. He wins again. He said, Marty, I'm tired. I want to go to bed. I went, no, we're not getting up from this table until I win a game. So finally, I won the 5th game, and we could head back to the room.
I think he was just throwing the game, to be honest with you. He's like,
That's very fair. He very well could have been, because it was getting ready to be closing time at MegaMoose, and Mark was going to kick us out anyway. In fact, he already warned us, guys, you got to leave at 11:45. And I said, shut up, Mark. I'm trying to win a game over here.
Oh, yeah. A big old Star Wars player getting it. But that should tell somebody something from the standpoint of...
I'm a bad player.
Well, okay. That's not what I was going to say. But even, you know, quote, professional players with someone who's learning, it doesn't scare them away. Okay? I know, yeah, he's Magic. No. It's not going to be so that suddenly this person who's been playing for years, a year and a half, wipes the floor with these decks. They're very well balanced. There's something that people can easily learn and fall in love with the game, and kudos to them for doing that.
And so anyway, main stuff for MegaMoose we're going to be talking about in this episode.
Mm-hmm. Now, the only thing that we missed out at MegaMoose was normally we will do a I did bring you something, I think I remember. I did.
You did. You brought me was it to that event? A Mountain Dew?
Mountain Dew, I brought you, one, but we're not going to do that one tonight. We're going to go into Taste Buds, and we've got a special Taste Buds here with a Mountain Dew. And Marty's getting Pop-Tarts, he doesn't know what the flavor is.
Yes, but you do, so I'm going to see if I can guess
There
it.
you go. So let's head over to your favorite jingle, Taste Buds. Taste Buds. Taste Buds. Taste Buds. Two incredible stuff. Taste Buds. Two incredible stuff. Taste Buds. They're just a bunch of.
Hey, Tony, should we do the Pop-Tart first or the Mountain Dew first?
Since the the Mountain Dew that we're doing here is a trolley cherry lime, let's do this Pop-Tart first.
Okay. All right. So here we go. So I've got a Pop-Tart. And if you know Pop-Tarts, they are in an unmarked package, so you have no idea what the flavor is.
Unless you buy them in the Circle K or Little General or
Yes.
or Wawa or Buc-ee's or
I don't
wherever
know
you
what
get
a
your-
Wawa is.
Yeah, you do. You see them all over the place. All right, so here we go.
Whoa.
Don't you?
Okay, it's crumbly. Oh, what is this on top? It looks like a caramel type top, and you would think it's like chocolate specks in it. Okay.
Caramel.
crumbs.
You're close to caramel. Mhm.
Oh, wait a minute. Is this butterscotch?
No, not butterscotch.
Okay.
Close.
Praline.
Just sure. Take a bite.
Okay.
You're very close. You're in the family. Okay.
This smells good. Here we go. Oh my gosh, that's good. Maple? Oh my gosh. I'm going to eat this whole thing, ain't I?
Okay. Are you getting hints of chocolate?
Very little. I'm mainly getting whatever this icing is on top, which I
Yeah,
love.
the icing and the flavor in the middle. It's supposed to. You ready?
So
Or
there's
you want
chocolate. No, I'm getting the chocolate. What would this be?
But the pastry's not chocolate. It's their standard pastry.
No, the chocolate's in this icing. I assume whatever these specs are. Give me a hint. I'm in the family,
All right.
obviously.
You're in the. It's maple is it's what you're smelling. Maple.
I said maple. When I
Okay,
took the
maple.
first bite, I said maple.
Okay.
Maple with chocolate. Chocolate chip pancakes.
That's it.
Oh, baby. Oh,
There you go.
looky there.
That's their new flavor. Chocolate chip
this
pancakes.
is good.
So it's not pumpkin. It's got that maple, but the chocolate chips aren't coming through very strong. I was kind of hoping they'd come through a little bit stronger.
No, that's good. I love maple.
Okay.
I love maple anything. It's very fall-like too.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I was surprised that when I saw them, I've been kind of hit or miss on some of the other ones they've been coming out with. I'm like, seems interesting. And Donna wants to try it, so I have to take it out to her later so that she can get a try on this Pop-Tart because, they do go bad if you leave them open and you put them in a thing. So, yeah, just go ahead. It's only 150 per pastry. I don't know how many calories it is.
I know it's something like that. I'm only eating one, not two. I'll leave the other one for Brett to try. When he comes home from Scarewinds. He's at Scarewinds as we record.
Ooh, Carowinds, the theme park that they do a bang-up job on.
I have never been to Scarewinds. Have you?
No, I'm not a roller coaster guy, but my daughter went many times. She loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Well, it's not
And
necessarily the roller coaster thing. It's just that they do it up as Halloween themed.
Mm-hmm.
Carowinds,
you
by
have
the
to-
way, is an amusement park here in between Charlotte and it's right like on the line of that's the thing. It's like it's right on the line of North and South Carolina, but it's just south of Charlotte.
Yeah, you can walk. And
Big,
when you
big
go
amusement
into
park quote.
Yeah, when you go into the theater, you can walk on two states. When you go into the amusement park, not theater, amusement park, you can straddle the state line. They have it right there in the park. That was the big thing growing up. I walked in North and South Carolina at the same time. So, all right, let's let's wash this down.
All right, let's see what this is. This is Trolley, which is cherry lemon, zero sugar Mountain Dew.
Ooh, big spoot.
I smell cherry,
I definitely smell cherry. I do.
not a lot of lemon.
No.
All right. There's no lemon. I taste straight cherry.
Yeah. If you want, nah.
Yeah.
If I want some type of cherry, I'll just go with Code Red.
Oh, I thought you were going to say cheer wine.
Yeah, cheer wine too. But if I would go, I'd go Code Red with Mountain Dew. Now everybody can get Taste of the South. Cheer wine.
That's fair. I can't even get Code. Is Code Red still around? It is. I haven't, but they don't make a zero sugar of that.
They do, but not here.
Okay, was it you that told me we're in a dead zone for Mountain Dew?
Yep. There's only certain ones they do here. And the guy from Pepsi said he's used to hearing the complaints, but he says, sorry. Oh, my wife is real excited. I know you don't drink it, but Diet Coke is re-releasing Diet Coke with lime. Her favorite.
If they make a zero sugar with lime, I'll try it.
Okay. No. But they're doing Diet Coke with lime, and they're only going to do it for a limited time.
So she's going to stock up.
She's going to go bad.
You got to clear off a shelf in your garage.
That's it.
So you can buy a case of it.
Well, yeah, I'm going to have a pallet full of Diet Coke with lime sitting in my garage.
Have a forklift come in, bring it in a pallet into the garage. I can't park the car in the garage. There's a pallet of Diet Coke lime.
Yeah, the lawnmower doesn't need to stay in the garage. You can put that out. You ain't using it here in the next few months. Don't worry about it.
That's fair.
I'm like, okay, fine. All right, let's talk some games. If you've been listening to the show for a while, you know we really love our game topper. We love our game topper mat. It shows up at board game night every night, protects all of our games from these Qdobas Pico that's still on the table. Easy to clean up mats, amazing. But maybe you don't have a game table yet. Maybe you're looking at getting one. Some of them are out there. They're pretty darn expensive. Well, I'm talking in the thousands of dollars. Think how many games you could buy. Save some of that money. Head over to the late pledge for Game Toppers 5.0 and order you up a table. He's got them in all kinds of sizes. There's the 36 by 36 Game Topper, 36 by 48, 38 by 60. That's the one I have. Great size for all my games. Hey, you need a really big one, then go with the 48 by 72 play area. We're talking that is for those miniature people. You got that table out there, you better have a big table underneath it. Oh, wait, you don't? Berkey's thought of that. Get you a leg kit. Put that on there. He's got you set up. You don't even have to worry about it. Save you a couple $1,000s from the specialized game tables. Get you a game topper, leg kit, and an incredible mat. Head over to GameToppersLLC.com.
Five-minute initiative begins in 3, 2, 1.
If you've listened to our show for any length of time, you know that one of Tony and I's favorite two-player tactical games is Neuroshima Hex from Portal Games. We've talked about this game in the past, from covering new factions and new big boxes. Well, Ignacy has just introduced a brand new version of the game called Neuroshima Hex Battle. Now, Tony, this is like a starter box. There's only two factions in here, Steel Police and Beast. You and I got to sit down to try it out. We played this game many times, but we wanted to see what this little starter box brought. I love the fact that it's, right now you can actually pre-order it on shopportalgames.com for just $23. It's going to be shipping right now when this episode drops. Comes with two factions, player aids for each faction, but the nice thing, Tony, is a neoprene mat. So this is playing on the same battlefield. Every game is playing on the exact same field. Typically it's been a cardboard mat, but now it's a neoprene mat, which is really nice.
I'm sitting here trying to, at one time, Ignacy has the Monolith Arena mat, but that's Monolith Arena's gone. I thought he had a Neuroshima Hex play mat for $20 on his website. So let's break that down, shall we? A mat for $20. Two armies, which, by the way, run $8 to $10. All right.
Right.
Let's go with the low ball number, 16. So we're up to $36.
Sure.
That's there. So you're saving money. This is a no-brainer, people. You need to get this.
It is a no-brainer. If you've never played Neuroshima Hex, it's honestly a really straightforward game. Each of you are going to have tiles that you have face down on the table. You're going to draw 3, and on your turn, you're going to use up to 2 of those tiles. Those tiles can be units, or they can be action tiles. You're just going to place a unit on the map. Now, this is the cool thing. The units do all sorts of different things depending on what army that you're playing. They can do melee attack, they can do range attacks, they can do a lot of other things. But Tony, I think the really cool thing I like about this game is one of the tokens you can draw is a battle token. And when that's played, you're going to resolve a battle that's of all the units that are on the map. And I love the way it works with the initiative system.
I'm not really sure what you mean by the initiative when you say you love how it works with the initiative system.
I love how it works, how all these units have an initiative value, and you start with the highest initiative. It's like he's never played before, but it's not. He's played many times. The highest initiative value goes first and will deal all the damage that they can, and then they start going down. So if you have somebody with a 3 initiative, everybody with 3s will go 3s, then 2s, 1s, then 0s. So, Tony, the really interesting thing about this game that we've always liked is if you got a low initiative unit, you got to make sure that it's not going to be damaged by a higher initiative unit whenever a battle could occur.
But that's part of the game. I mean, when you're placing them out on the board, that's how it rolls. Unless you get a special token that bumps up the initiative of your unit. Mm-hmm. Some of the command tokens will do that. They'll do that. They'll provide that. They'll extend the range. They'll make the damage. They might even give them some armor or a shield or where they can take 1 damage and they stay on the board. So all this is very strategic in your placement and when to play these things. Now, the thing that I like about the game most is when I draw my tiles, I have to discard 1. That makes it a very hard decision. I'm allowed to carry 1 over, but at no time, if I've got 3, 1's going bye-bye, and I will be playing 2 or possibly keep 1 if I want to. Like sometimes you're like, oh man, cannot believe I just drew this. I really wanted this unit much later. But here's a token where at battle, it's going to get me the most points, and I'll be able to attack Marty's base and take a big jump on him when it comes to points. Or because if I get his base to 0, I win, and that's the big thing, me winning.
Yeah, every base has 20 health on it. Basically, you deal 20 damage, and that on the other person's headquarters, and then they're going to win. If you've never played, honestly, this is a really good place to start. And the great thing about it, Tony, is if it's something that you like, you can just start going buying these factions and trying different things. And these factions do all sorts of things. None of them are alike. Some of them good at range. Some of them are good at melee. Some are good at moving around the board. Like you said, some pump up initiatives. Some have a bunch of armor and stuff. Some can drop bombs and blow up the board. You know, there's a bunch of different things out there. So you can find your way to play. Buy the faction you want and play it.
Yeah, they dropped a bomb on me. Mm-hmm. Isn't that a
Gap
song?
Band. Gap
Band. Yep. There you go. Like I said, you really start liking this, then maybe you step up and get the big base set. But to try it out, quick game, small box, you got to love it.
Yeah, exactly. And nice thing is, too, it's like, Marty, I'm not even sure I want to try this. Well, you can play this game on your phones, Android and iOS, and there's actually a Steam version of the game. So there are multiple ways to try this game out. But honestly, nothing is better than sitting across from a friend and battling each other, and you could bring different factions to play against each other. But again, the top thing for me, Tony, is definitely this nice neoprene mat. I will use that from now on. I will never play with the cardboard mat again.
So that is Neuroshima Hex Battle from none other than Portal Games.
5-minute initiative is complete.
For a lot of people, when you hear the designer's name, Daniel Tessina, the first thing you think of is, oh, a T game, like from Board and Dice. And Tony, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. That's from him and Antonio Petrelli with a game named Tianxia, Tianxia, which means World of Chinese.
I'm so glad you started this one out with those names. You're getting really good at that pronunciation. Is that because of your Duolingo stuff that you're working on?
Well, that's Japanese. This is Chinese. No, this is because I go to Google and I type in how to pronounce Tianxia. And there'll be somebody that will be there to tell me.
Real quick before we get in the review, we were sitting there getting ready to play this thing, and we're talking to someone, and we go, oh yeah, it's a T game. It's a T game. We were doing that old board gaming mentality. Everybody knows what a T game is, and they were thinking we were going to play a game about tea.
Sure.
Look at us being all bougie on that.
Yeah. So T game is typically from this particular designer, and it's going to be on the heavier side. And this is no different. This is kind of heavier Euro from this designer, and it's mid to heavy weight, Tony. 4-player. This is really going to take you 2 hours, so be ready to sit down. That's just playing. Like you said, there is a lot of setup and stuff. But of all the T games I've played, Tony, to me, for this one, the learning curve wasn't as bad.
No.
Just simply because the game loop for your turn is pretty simple. You've only got a couple actions that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that when you take that action, there's a lot of options underneath it. And the other thing is, because there's so much going on, there has to be a lot of forward thinking. Oh,
Yes.
I understand I need to do this, but to get to that point, I got to have this in hand to be able to do that. That's the tough part of this game. That's the tough nut to crack in this game.
Right. And I think we were running into that. I kept thinking about, when I kept saying, oh, we need to play this game. And I always joked with y'all that, hey, you're going to only do one thing on your action, but then you'll have a bunch of 30 parts under that, plus the 15 free that you got to manage as well. And it was like, and that's what it came down to. And it also, to your exact point, there were times when you wanted to do a certain action and you found yourself just being a little shy of being able to perform that.
I don't know how many times it's like, if I just had one more wood. If I just had one more wood.
And I need a coin. Where's the money? Can somebody loan me a freaking coin?
Right. So there, in a lot of Euro games, there are your basic resources. There's coin and there's wood and there's stone and there's fine items that you can use to turn in to get other stuff. All that's in this game. I like the theme of this game, and then it's a map of China, and it's broken up into multiple areas of China. And the thing is, though, the twist. What is the twist? When it comes to Euro games now, I'm like, is it something I enjoy doing? Is it a fun puzzle to solve? Or is there something unique about it? Mm-hmm. So for me, the unique twist in this game is that there are a nomadic group that's coming from the north that's actually trying to attack you. You have the Great Wall of China, and they're trying to come in and take out the different sectors or sections of the map that you're playing on. So part of the game is establishing a military to protect against that invasion. Because if they break through, all the work that you've done to get your governors into buildings and to be able to take advantage of those governors and their buildings are going to be wiped away, because they're just going to run right through and wipe everybody out. So that's a little kind of a semi-co-op part of this game, I felt, Tony, in that a lot of us together were in this one territory. We see it's getting ready to get attacked. We kind of need to work together to fortify our military to make sure they don't break through.
Let's say I avoid building in a region. I don't install, and the word is governor in the region. I don't put one in power at a building. What harm is it to me? Well, if that force makes it all the way into the mainland, then we all suffer. And so you kind of sort of want to help, because helping also provides you victory points. Well, one thing about a T game is there's tons of ways to get victory points. We're not going to try to go into all the various ways, but I mean, there's cards and there's ways to turn, various actions that will provide that. Once again, of the 20 or 30 actions that are out there, who knows, you're going to be able to score points. So I agree with you. That was the interesting aspect of this game, that you're sitting there going, okay, we've got to manage this to protect all the hard work. And even though you may benefit a little bit more than me, if I help you out, I'll score more victory points. Balancing, we need to work together here. That I did like that part of the game. It didn't add tension, but it did make me focus some of my efforts. Where do I want to focus my efforts on this time, provided I had enough material to do that?
Yeah. And you make a very good point that is a way to generate victory points, because whoever has contributed the greatest strength at that point of entry, whether it be by building walls, adding military people, or building a watchtower, that all adds to the strength as they attack. Whoever has the highest strength when they attack is going to get a ton of victory points. All right, so that's what kind of set it aside as unique. But on your turn, you're really going to do one of three things. Pass, pretty straightforward. On the board, are these little barges that you did a great job of putting together for us.
you.
I appreciate that. Off to the side in your play area, you have meeples that can be assigned to different spots on the board, and depending on where they're assigned, they become something. For example, and we talked about the military, if I assign it up there, it becomes a soldier. But there are these barges that provide just basic goods, such as wood, rice, or stone. And on your turn, I can pay 1 gold, put one of my guys on one of those barges. Everybody on the barge shifts down if there's multiple people on there, and I will immediately collect that good. The great thing about a barge is if you happen to be on the barge at the beginning of a round, there's an income round where if you're on the barge, you also get that good at that time too. And Tony, I found that's probably the best way to get the basic materials that you're going to need for other things, wood, rice, and stone, is from that the simple barge action. And that one is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, absolutely. But just sitting on that barge may not be that beneficial all the time, because on the individual player boards, that as you're riding the barge in and you dock, if someone pushes you off and wants to get a resource that you're on, because each barge can hold up to 3 individuals, that person, if it's yours, now goes to your player board that then it gives you the capability to do another action. These are one of these free actions we talk about. So there's a lot of strategy in that. Do I want to be able to be pushed off and lose out on gathering resources, or do I hope somebody pushes me off so that they can come back to my own player board and then provide me a benefit that my board gives? Which we didn't even mention, by the way, all player boards are different. My free actions may be different than Marty's.
I didn't like that part of, they push me off, but you get a benefit to it. That worker now becomes a merchant that you place on your board, like you said, that you can use as a free action. And usually those actions are pretty freaking good. And one of those actions only requires 1 merchant. The other 2 actions require 2. So you have to get 2 on there before you can even activate it. So that's the real simple one, Tony. Now, the other thing is you got 3 action discs. Part of the setup in this game is randomly putting out these building tiles around the board along with little bonus tokens, along with ships. There's a sail to a ship and then the actual ship itself. And the sail tells you what the good it's looking for, and the ship will give you items that you will get in return. So there's a lot of randomization in this game. So all that's pre-populated on the board. And in each of those areas, you can take a disc and put it in that area and take actions within that area.
Now, depending on the region you're in, when you place that disc, may dictate what you can do. There, on one region, as you said, the shipping disc, if you go into that region, you can then take a shipping action, provided you have the good that they want to ship. Another way for you to get resources. And as the ships fill up, other people cannot place their goods on there. The buildings where you become a governor, you have your income building and your passive buildings that are laid out randomly. All right. Or as you kept saying in a previous podcast, RNGing. Is that how you use that term?
Yeah. They're set out via RNG.
Via RNG. As we all know what an income building is, there is an income phase at the building of this. Prior to, we adjust how the hordes are coming down to attack us. Then we have an income phase. And these buildings provide us possibly additional resources, or where we can place some of our meeples, place out maybe a soldier out for free or whatever. These provide us our income, and we'll be able to collect the income phase 4 thing. The power is in the passive buildings in these tiles. These passive buildings, like if you go and do this action, like, oh, you just did an barge action, guess what? You now get to go do this action with this passive building. Or, hey, when you go to this various region, when you place your disc, you can exchange 4 rice for this shipping good, which you need to be able to then ship out. We talked about shipping just a minute ago. So I'm going to turn in 4 rice to get this good I need for shipping. Oh, you just did an exchange. You now get to gather an additional good, or how it would come out. And this is something I want to go ahead and say before I forget, Marty. I like the fact that you can stack the various action discs here. Once someone goes to a spot, they're not locked out. They can go there as well, provided they have the coin to pay for that. And for every disc there, you've got to pay an additional coin. So that's one of those things where you would hear us in our gameplay, man, why did you go there? I need the coins for this, not to pay to go there. Mm-hmm. That was some of the tension, some of the fun. Don't go there. Don't you dare go there. I need that spot.
And you remember what I said at the beginning of as our discussion, it's like sometimes you go to an area and it's like you're just one short of something. Mm-hmm. To install governors cost wood. And it's like, I really want to be a governor in this building and I have enough wood to do it. But if somebody goes there right before you, then it will take one additional wood to install your governor there, because you can have multiple governors in a building. And these are the governors that will be taken out if you don't provide enough defense when that area is attacked. So if you've put this much effort into getting your governor in place, you want to make sure that it stays there. And so, like you said, depending on what section you go, there's one section where you go, you don't get to install a governor, but that's where you can do the fortification. You can build a wall. You can take one of your meeples and turn them into a soldier at that point and put them in any section of the wall. Then once everybody's passed, that's when you resolve the attack. You resolve that based on the strength that's up there that's in play. And if you don't have enough strength, they start marching down the map, basically. I think that was really clever, too, because the further they march, they lose strength as they go. And if their strength ever runs out, they just stop at that point. So you can predict how far that they're going to make it.
When you look at the board, top half of the board, you see the tracks of the people coming down. You then see the various regions. You then see the barges. But of course, at the bottom of the board, there's these palace tracks. So when you go to a region and place your disc, there are palace colors. When you go there, you may move your disc up the palace track. Why is this important? Marty mentioned the bonus little squares that come out that you can gather along the way that allow you to get an additional action, resource, whatever. They're there. And as you're moving up, when you get past certain levels, you will collect those. You do not discard them after you use them. You place them face down.
Like little bonus tokens.
Bonus tokens. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word tokens. That's what I was looking for.
Well, that's okay. Before we started recording, we were saying, I was saying barrage instead of barge. So,
but the palace track. So that's where you're collecting additional tokens that allow you to be able to get additional resources, like I was saying. And at some point in the game, there may be a passive action or an income action that allows you to flip a token back over so you could use it again. So you need to synergize some of your moves based on the tokens you have, and that's where this game grows in length. How do I, as Marty does, combolicious this thing? How do I make it all happen, and feel good? I lost, but I feel good, because I made this big thing happen.
And here's the thing. I saw the combos. I just didn't have the resources to do it. See, that's the thing. I could look and go, well, if I can get this guy here and this guy here, I am set. The problem is I need a gold. Where do I get the gold? Oh, I need this particular linen, which is a fine good, so I can get over to this ship and turn this in, because when I ship linen, it's going to give me gold in this resource, and this resource could be used over here. So you see just how it kind of builds on itself. And this is very typical of more of a heavy Euro of planning out your actions. It just seems like for me in this one, you had to plan way in advance. And when you're only talking 4 rounds, and you've only got 3 action discs you're placing per round, you got to optimize it. And Tony, sometimes I felt like if I go here, the only thing I'm going to do is exchange. I don't want to waste an action disc just for an exchange action. Mm-hmm. I felt like that was not a good use at all. So you want to make sure you maximize that action disc whenever you use it each round.
Right. Or go there knowing that, okay, if I'm in this area, I need to go here so I can do an exchange to take all this wood I've collected and be able to exchange it out for the shipping good, the fine good. Do I want to waste putting that governor there, paying the wood to pay the governor to minimize my exchange, knowing that they may be wiped out because I don't have enough action discs to help benefit the defenses of that region? I don't want to say it wasn't a lot of AP, because I never felt like there was AP going on. Yes, turns were taking a long time, but we appreciated everybody's time on that because you knew they were doing what you were doing. They were calculating out what is the best process for them to get the most victory points.
And again, like I said, for me, of all the T games I've played, I think this is the one that when you just explain, here's what you're going to do on your turn, here are the actions you get. Oh, Okay, that all makes a lot of sense to me. It's just the thing is, for me, as we played the game, and we'll just go and start giving up some final thoughts. I thought the actions were very easy to understand. I love the idea that barbarians are attacking you, or other kingdoms basically is what it is, are attacking you. That adds a little semi-co-op element to it. Adds a little bit of tension that you're, crap, I just installed this governor. I got to make sure to protect it. The thing is, though, and it's probably a consistent thing for me, it's just started running a little long with 4 people. I wonder if 3 people, this would be a little bit tighter game for me, because it just wouldn't last as long as just one person taking 12 less turns. I enjoyed trying to solve the puzzle. I just felt like that puzzle was taking too long to get to the end.
I agree. I think that's one of the things. So on my side of it, I enjoyed the fact that the income and passive buildings were out on the board, meaning it wasn't just all income. And I felt like you could combine certain ones to get a good effect. And it wasn't something that I felt was very hidden on the board that, oh man, I really need to go. We weren't fighting for particular ones. Hey, you may be at this income building, but if I go here, I can gain other advantages. But I could also go to yours if I had the resources to go there. So I thought that was really nice. I enjoyed the fact that there's only 3 actions. Yeah, there's all these sub actions and whatever. I like the fact that I'm watching you do your actions. If you go to the barge, you didn't use one of your actions. I knew that you would be later to take actions. Maybe it would force me to go quicker. The barge, I like the capability of gaining the income, knowing that I have a person there that I can count on that unless they get pushed off. But I did like, that was more tension than having the people come and invade. Are you going to push me off? Don't you push me off.
That's interesting that you say that, because multiple times during the game, I found myself going, I really want to go to the barge, but I want to go as late in the round as possible to try to make sure it survives to the income round. And lots of times, like you said, during a round, you'd look around and go, how many action discs do you have left? Because that might determine what you're going to do. If I saw like, crap, these 2 guys have action discs and I really want to go to here, and if I don't go now, I may not have the opportunity. That may switch a decision point for you in fear that somebody else may go where you want to go. And that's fine. Like you said, you can go there, but you might not have that extra gold to pay to get there when it comes back to you.
That's right. And because you need a gold to go there. And if you have someone already sitting on that barge, you got to pay another gold. But I need that gold because we already said gold is a valuable resource here. And the final thing that I thought, we didn't really, the objective cards, in-game scoring cards. I like the fact that I don't have to keep them. If I turn them in, they provided me resources or fine goods. I may not be able to do this objective. It's not meeting where I'm planning on building my governors. So it's not a dead card. It's now a resource card for me that I can turn in as a free action. And suddenly I have generated resources that allow me to accomplish my goals.
Or you play with somebody like Nate, who just hoarded objective cards, didn't turn any of them in, and got points for all of them. And you talk about slingshot at the end. Oh, God. Holy cow. I mean, I got I got my 2 objective cards. I got 12 points. Nate's got 8, 7, 24. I got 32 points. What? It's like you did all that. Yeah, because there was a building on board where you could go and you could get an extra objective card. And again, these buildings are randomly placed on the board. So every time you play, it's going to be different. Every round, those ships, if they're full, they leave the board and you create a new ship that will come out with new goods and stuff that it needs and everything. So there's a lot of variability in the game, which does give a lot of replayability.
This is probably, of the T games we've played, and we've played probably, I think, almost all of them, this has been my favorite too, of all of them.
Wow. Really?
Really. Yeah. Because it was easy to understand. I do think it was on the table too long and lasted, like you said, maybe a three-person game. Definitely not 2 for me. 4 was long unless we were all really good and we were quickly going through our turns. I still think there'll be speed bumps along the way. But all in all, this has been probably one of my favorites of the games that we've played.
For me, it definitely is up there as far as so very approachable. I think my number 1 is still Tekkenu. I just like the way that game works, but it would take me longer to relearn that one than it would this one.
Yeah.
Which is why this one does elevate for me. Like we've only played with 4-player. I would love to try it with maybe 3 just to see if it brings it down to that 90-minute range, and then I would like it a whole lot more. So that is Tianxia from Board and Dice. Essen's coming up. Portal has a couple hot games that you might want to think about getting. One of them being Bohemians. We've heard Ignacy talk about this game all year long as a deck building game. The art is absolutely amazing. You get syphilis, you get victory points. It's really cool. I can't wait to play it. Can't wait to check it out myself. And if you want to play it, you can pre-order right now. Coming out Essen, you can go to Essen and pick it up. There's also Neuroshima Hex Battle. It's like a 2-player starter box. Tony and I have got this. We've been playing some games. It's an amazing starter box with a neoprene mat, and that in itself is worth it. So you can get that and pre-order that over at shopportalgames.com. Pick it up at Essen. Again, Bohemians, that's kind of his main thing this year. So go check it out.
Five-minute initiative begins in 3, 2, 1.
It seems like a lot of games are coming out with the sole purpose that, hey, we got multiplayers here, but we're going to design one specifically for 2 people. And Devere has done just that with the White Castle. They've come out with the White Castle Duel by Ezra C. and Shay S. I'll be the first one out to say White Castle did not grab me like it did Marty. All right. That's involved fairness. I felt like White Castle, I love the dice mechanism and all that, but it was just too much. And even for me, that was just way too much going on. Too many exchange this for that, do this to get that. Duel has that sweet spot for me. I really like this 2-player version of White Castle. It was easier to follow. That's one of the things I liked about it, but it's very similar to the base White Castle.
Similar in that, yes, the different zones that you get to do things on. There's a castle you're trying to move up people's in your castle. There is a military training ground where you're trying to get military. There are bridges where you can put your farmers and stuff. But Tony, the way you resolve your actions is totally different. This game has no dice. Instead, you've got 6 little color pieces that you're going to put out onto the board. And when you put it out onto the board is randomly set up to where you put your piece is going to be beside 2 actions, and those actions are randomly put out there along with cards that you can buy that will come back to your board. There's a lot of the same things as that you, in both games, you start out with a card that immediately gives you a resource. You can add cards to that so that when you use a token of that color, you get more of that same resource. So a lot of that is similar, but the dice mechanic or the dice is just not there at all. But Tom, I loved it. This is played over 2 rounds. Mm-hmm. On your turn, you take one of your pieces, you put it on the board, and you take those 2 actions. But there is a rule for placement. The rule is the color piece that I got, if it's orange, I cannot put it on top of a orange space or somebody else's orange piece. It's got to be either black or white. And even though, so let's say there's a marker there that's black, I put my orange token there. Whatever I put on is what I get back on the income on my board. So I look back at my board on the black row, and whatever cards I've played there could give me money, could give me just the various resources. Then I get that, and then I take the action. You can continue to stack those tokens in that one spot, but the most you can have is 3 because you can only have 3 different colors. That's all there is in between those 2 actions. So each of us are going to go back and forth, put out those 6 pegs. Round 2, we start removing them. So wherever we move one of those pieces from, we take those 2 actions, and where we put it back on our board, it must match the color. If I pull off a black, it must go back on the black spot on my board. I get the income of that row again. So everything's just reversed. And then after that, it's just whoever's got the most victory points.
So I think that was where we got the AP of this game. It took us longer to play than I thought it would, but that was just me learning. But I did like that strategy of it. All right, I've got to be thinking ahead. How is Marty putting out these pieces so that potentially I can keep him from maybe getting those actions that are out on the main board? I understand he's going to get the resources based on what he places it on. That's fine. But how can I keep him from going there, making it less desirable, as well as benefiting myself? Now, what's the purpose of doing these various actions? Well, getting the victory points, either moving up the courtier track or building in the garden, collecting various sets for your victory points, having the most warriors, because if you when you calculate those, if whoever you take the number of warriors in a zone times the sword to get you victory points, a whole bunch of ways. But it's not so cumbersome that when you're doing it, that you're sitting there going, oh my God, how do I track this? How do I do this? That's why I liked it a whole lot more. And I also, one of my favorite things, and I'm not because I messed you up, but I like the fact that, oh man, you know how you get stuck and you just can't do anything because the actions just aren't beneficial to you when you're moving? If you get the ability, there's one token where you can exchange 2 actions so that, oh, I'm going to play this token, which lets me exchange 2 actions. So now when I pull this piece or place the piece,
swap 2 actions.
Swap them.
Tokens on the board. Yep.
That says, oh, you can go do the palace action and the warrior, or the warrior. I don't want to really do the warrior, but I want that, pull that piece back, that lantern piece back. I'm going to swap those 2 because I have that ability. I like that. That didn't bind me down. I still got the benefit of the lantern piece that gave me the resources, as well as the benefit of taking the action. I mean, I thought that was kind of cool. I didn't see the benefit of it at the beginning, but then I'm like, oh, okay, I see where we're going with this.
Especially because I played this a couple times at MegaMoose with Bert. You may find that on the second round when you're pulling pieces back, there might not be any pieces beside a particular action.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's nothing to pull back, you can't take that action unless you get these exchange tokens will allow you to move that action, swap that action token around the board and take it where the pieces do exist. When it comes to the scoring, it does have some of the White Castle feel in. The more of these that you get, it's a multiplier. Hey, the higher up in your courtier goes up in the castle, it's a multiplier but times the number of these icons that you have, which I like too. So there's these stacks of cards around the board. When you put a piece and it's beside one of these stacks of cards, you can pay the resource of that card, get that card. That card has a benefit, and you put it off in your tableau. Now, there's another action on the board that allows you to flip that card over, and when you do, there's icons on the back. Those icons, whether it be swords or origami, those are going to be multipliers to whatever your status is on something else on the board. So it could be multipliers for how high your character or your courtesan is in the court. And one of the actions is to actually spend Pearl to move your courtesan up the court. If you can get them all the way to the top, it's 3 times the number of that particular icon. That has the same feel as White Castle. It's just the way you pull off the actions are totally different.
Last thing I will say on this is the various actions, garden, training, courtier, improve, lantern, and trade. I mean, if you don't want to take one of those actions when you either place or pull a lantern token off, you can always go to the well, which gives you a basic resource that either the pearl, some rice, or steel. It's really nice to not be locked out. Hey, I can't do anything here, but I still can always go get a basic resource, including one of those activation tokens.
Okay, here's the thing. Hey, Marty, I like White Castle. Do I need White Castle Duel? You can play 2-player White Castle. This is a shorter game. It's going to be 30 to 45 minutes. It is only 2 players. The action selection mechanic is extremely unique and different than White Castle, but the actions that you're taking will feel very similar to White Castle itself. For me, they can sit right beside each other on the shelf because they're not the same game. Thematically, yes. Some of the ways you score, yes. Everything else is different.
Well, as I said, not a fan of the original White Castle as much as Marty, but I really like this one. So I would put it in there with my other Duel games. So that is White Castle from DeVere.
Duel.
Well, I'm sorry. That is White Castle Duel from DeVere.
5-minute initiative is complete.
All right. We got another heavy thinker to the table called Aeterna. This is from designer Martin Wallace. You may have heard of him. I don't know. It's hard telling. He's got a few games under his belt. We got this from Ares Games. And this is a game where I was like, okay, this is going to be easy to teach. A Martin Wallace game is usually very straightforward, easy to understand what your actions are. Don't look at me like that. He even said that when we interviewed him, probably back in episode number, I don't know, Marty can Google while I'm talking. But he even said, you don't need a lot of stuff in a game to make it fun or
This was
challenging.
a guy who made Brass.
Brass, yeah. But even in Brass,
to me, there's a lot in that game. You don't think there's a lot of stuff to consider in that game?
I was going to say maybe to consider, but isn't there a lot? I mean, you know, in these games, it's like, okay, you've got limited resources, you've got limited actions that you can do, but how you get to the victory and how it's all tied together is what makes the game that challenging. So with Aeterna, we put this on this, and I'm going to just throw this out here right now. I have never seen a game that we've played like this stress people out at the table like this one did on what you needed to do. Because there's this thing in there, and we'll get to it, but I just want to say what it is. It is called unrest, where the citizens aren't very happy. And at the end of the game, there's a mechanism that if you have too much unrest, you might as well just, all your work is for naught. You're out of the game. You're not even in the running. It's wild. So that is Aeterna from publisher, from Martin Wallace.
Yeah, so I love the theme of the game. I love Rome themed games, which is what this is. There's different provinces on the board. The map, the board looks really nice. It's like a nice map of Italy, and there's different hills. I guess that represent the different areas or provinces. That's it. Provinces of Rome. And each one is like a different place that you can establish and build buildings. And the thing is, though, as you go to each area and you instill people and you try to become a leader there and you build buildings there, the population would increase in theory, in the ether increase. But when you have an increased population, you also have increased unrest when you have a lot of people there. That's kind of the mechanism of the game. As you go along, and there's a place that's really good for you as a player to earn stuff and get victory points and build buildings and get bonuses from those buildings, you got to understand in the end, that place is probably going to go into unrest. You have a personal unrest track. Well, not a personal one, but there's an unrest track on the board that each of you must go up as you take unrest. And there are consequences of that unrest at the end of each era. You're going to play over 3 eras. And where your marker is in this unrest, it will say, okay, if you're at this point, you're above these 2 unrest markers right below you, you have to pay some sort of resource to not take a doom token. And Tony, doom tokens at the end of the game are really, really, really bad because they cause a lot of negative victory points.
That's
so
right.
I have not played a game where I was this stressed out. I know the last one, Empire's End, was a game that kind of stressed me out, but I think this was even more. I remember one thing I didn't really care about, Agricola, Caverna, you know, the whole feeding, right? I would get stressed out over the feeding. This was even worse to me. Because I knew the consequences of not being able to pay for my unrest were really bad.
Before you even really get into the teaching of the game, this is something that you need to work with people because they need to understand at the end of the game how this works so they know what to do or to work towards to avoid it. Now, in the game, turn structure is, and we'll talk about each of these, but it's you'll draft cards among the players.
Love games where you have draft, always have, and this is no different.
There are actions, and there's only 5 actions you can take. Those cards you just drafted, you can play them. You can do a thing called Take Favor, which is getting a hero into your tableau. You can construct a building out on the board, and these buildings will give you availability, reducing your unrest or possibly getting victory points.
Or wheat, which is needed to feed your people.
Yep, wheat. You got to have some wheat.
There is also feeding your people. Sorry, I mentioned Agricola feeding. There's feeding here too, and the unrest.
Yes. Influence a hill, which is putting your citizens out on the board, because when you influence a hill, it gives you the ability to become the prefect. And we'll go into a little detail about the good side of being a prefect and the bad side of being a prefect. And then and probably the easiest action you'll take, which maybe you should do in the very first turn, is called pass.
Yeah.
As Mark said, this board, okay, we're in this phase, this phase, this phase, this phase. Beautiful iconography, easy to understand. You know what you're going to be doing. I mean, the actions, you have a player aid, straightforward, tells you what you need to do. I mean, this The game doesn't play itself, but by gosh, it helps you play the game.
Yeah, so the main thing are the cards themselves. There's different cards that do different things, and there's a cost to put the card into place. It could be citizens, it could be money, it could be stone, and these cards could be one-time effects. Hey, I put this out, I get this one-time thing. It could be ongoing effects that just last the entire game, or it could be a tap ability. That's where once per round, you can exhaust it and take a special action with it, and that will reset at the beginning of the round. So, Tony, for me, this did have a little bit of an engine building feel because as you add more cards to your tableau, it gives you additional things that you can do with those actions and make those actions more powerful over time. But what I love about it is when you play a card, at the bottom, there are things that you get. Maybe it's a victory point or a citizen or a wheat. Lots of times just straight unrest. A lot of the unrest you get are from these cards because the really good cards will also create a lot of unrest that you have to deal with later on.
And these aren't cheap. You got to pay if you're going to play a card, you have to pay, it's called Aria. I think that's how it is. Basically money to play these cards. And over the eras, they get more expensive, but if you've got your engine doing pretty darn well, guess what? You're going to be making some money. I didn't ever find that to be true, but supposedly it's there. But yeah. I mean, so you're playing this and then getting these resources that you need to then later go and do other actions. Playing a card, straightforward, very simple. There's another one, we talked about take a favor. Take a favor is where you're drafting a historical person from that time. Spartacus, who knows? I don't think there were any Julius Caesar or along those lines, if I remember correctly. And basically, you're bringing them in, but there's a caveat. You got to pay for them to come. So you pay the money, but you also must meet the conditions on the card in order to bring them to there. And if you do, then you will then be able to get the benefits of that. If you don't meet the conditions, you just can't go out and buy that hero and use him later. You have to be able to use him now. That also was stressful for me, Marty, because you're sitting over there. I'm seeing what you're doing. We both got the money. Do I want to take that action before you? Because but if I wait one more round, then I'll get more benefit from that card.
But they refresh each round. There's only 2 per round.
Yes. And if you got 3-4 players, guess what? Some people aren't going to get one.
Yeah, you're going to be fighting over it. Yeah.
Construct a building, pay resources to put a building out there in the province. There's only 3 types of building out there that you can put out there. You can put them wherever you want. You place one of your citizens out there. You pay the cost. You move up on the victory track. You put that building out so that when we get to a later phase, you will gain the benefits of that building being in an area if you are the prefect. That's what's very important about this. Because if you're not the prefect and you build a building there, it's kind of useless. You help somebody else.
Exactly. And that's another thing that you start fighting over. Now, the first person that goes to a hill, it costs you 2 this aria. But the next one that goes out there only costs 1. And then eventually they're just free. But in order to move up in order, you must exceed the number of citizens another player has. So if Tony, if you're sitting at a hill with 2 citizens, you could stack them on top of each other. You could take multiple in a hill. If you have 2 on the prefect, I've got to get up to 3 before I can supplant you at that point. Well, we think, well, we'll just do that. Well, here's the thing, y'all. Citizens are a resource. Citizens are a resource that you pay to put cards into play. Just grabbing a citizen isn't going to automatically happen. Lots of times you have to play a card in order to get citizens back so that you can use them to put out on the board to try to take over the influence of a hill and become the prefect.
Now, being a prefect there, like I said, you get the benefits of the buildings that are constructed there, but you also get victory points, and the name of the game is to get the most victory points. So as y'all are jockeying for position, you're building up the population of those hills that you are on. And that comes into play in a later round, not later round, but a later structure of the turn, okay, where we have to go into what we call devastation.
Yeah, that's the bad part, Tony. And this is what I think was really cool is the hills with the highest population go into devastation. And what that means is you're going to cover, there's a victory point track for whoever has the lead or the prefect will get these amount of victory points. Well, as it goes into devastation, that highest victory point amount's covered. So being a prefect there in the next round is going to be worth less. But the thing is also is that if you're the prefect, you automatically get 2 unrest. Sure, you get all the benefits, but you're grabbing 2 unrest. And the kicker is, remember I said the top 2 highest population? That means if let's say for some reason all the hills are tied for the same population, all of them go into unrest. There is no tiebreaker. It's just whatever the top 2 numbers are, every hill with those number of people, number of citizens there, immediately move into unrest. And all of us were jogging around to make sure you weren't on a hill that was going to go into devastation, especially if you were going to be the prefect.
Yes, because you're like, oh my gosh, if this happens, I'm going to take unrest, especially if on all of them. But okay, so he's sitting there with 1 in the prefect position. I don't necessarily want to go there with 2 and become the prefect unless I want the victory point.
Or -2 on the unrest, which actually helps then. So it's a net 0 at that point, right?
Right. And that's where you're sitting there. Okay, how can I force that hill over there? Or, maybe I'll just put out 1 and not be the prefect on that hill, forcing that one to jump in citizens. And that protects the one where I am prefect because it's now lower in population.
Yep.
But once again, citizens are not just willy-nilly free. You have to get them by building the cards out that provide the citizens to you.
But Tony.
But what, Marty?
You've got to be careful because as you get citizens and they are in your board, during phase H, you got to feed 1 wheat to every citizen you have in your player board. So you think, I'm just going to hoard a bunch of citizens so I can do what I want. Well, if you ain't got a bunch of wheat to pay for it, guess what? For every citizen you can't feed, that is 2 unrest.
Mm-hmm. And they don't die. No, they just go hungry. They're still there. You can use them next round.
I mean, they're hungry. Now they're going to go into an unrest. It thematically makes sense.
Your citizens are not happy with you. Yep. But you need them back on your board so that the next round you can begin the process of building the buildings or paying for the cards or going out onto the board to gain victory points. Rinse and repeat for 2 more eras with the cards escalating in cost. And then you get to the end game. You're at the end of the 3rd era. You step through everything again. Now you have to determine, do you have any doom tokens? Where are you on the unrest chart? Take the negative victory points and hope that you'll be a person who can be part of the end of the game that gets, who can win.
The thing about the Doom tokens is the way the Unrest track is set up. It's like the first 3 spaces on the Unrest track are only worth -1. If you're there, it's only going to be -1 point at the end of the game. Like the next -2 is only like a couple spots. The thing is, though, if you have a Doom token, you jump from each spot to each spot. So if I have 1 Doom token, I don't get to go up 3 spaces per Doom token or 1 Doom token per space. No, you go from -1 to -2. And if you have another Doom token, -2 to -3, you jump and skip all those spaces and go straight to the top. That's why the Doom tokens are so bad at the end. It's only like you said, if you collect enough of them, there's a spot on the Doom track that says, yeah, you can't win. You have so much unrest. Even if you had the most victory points, you can't win.
That's right. And I think they even had some, there was a sentence in the rule book about that basically I translated it to, you suck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say you do get to the end of the game and you haven't completed total unrest of it. You're going to get victory points for the cards you played. You're going to get victory points based on the diversity of the cards you play, based on there are 7 types of cards out there that you can. And if you got 6 different ones, you're going to get 3. If you got 7, you're going to get 9. And by the way, the 7th one is those personality cards that you gain in favor. Then, of course, you can get some victory points for the various resources that you have. And then you, of course, take the negative. Highest wins.
I found in the rule what it is. It said if you get to this point, you're considered a damnatio memoria, which is a Roman practice and Latin term meaning condemnation of memory, which involved the official and public erasure of a disgraced individual from public life and history. You're totally forgotten and written out of the books.
You're done. You're done.
That's good. That's good.
All right. So we talked about during the rules some of the things we liked, we didn't like. But overall, for me, This is probably, I mean, we've talked about the Lightning Train and how it was one of my games of the years. This, even as much stress as it caused, I really enjoyed this game. And I don't know what it was about it. There's just something about it.
I would say I enjoy my time, but literally, I was sick to my stomach on some of these decisions I was having to make. It's like, can I afford to take this unrest? Because like I said, if you move up these certain marks on the unrest track, at the end of the round, there are these resources that you got to pay to keep from taking a Doom token. And then you realize, well, if I make this move, I had better make sure that I have all these resources I need and not take a Doom token. Now, there's some things to help. Like Bert got a card that says, hey, during my turn, one of these tappable cards where I could exhaust it is go down 1 on the unrest track. Awesome. You can make sure that you get unrest by being the prefect of a hill that is -2 and hope that that particular hill does not go into, or province doesn't go into unrest. There are cards that you can play that will decrease your unrest. So it is very much a balancing act. Tony also found stone was very hard to get. That was a resource that was used to need to be played for a lot of these cards, especially the more powerful buildings. But stone was a tough resource to pull off. And I never had more than maybe 2 or 3 at the most. Resource scarcity is a thing in this one too. Money, I felt was, I don't know, money wasn't as bad once we got into the game. But sometimes it's like, man, I just need 1 citizen. I've got to play something that gives me 1 citizen, but I don't have the resources to play this card that will give me 1 citizen.
And I think that's where the drafting came in. I mean, you know, we talked about it after the game, was that maybe there were some cards that seemed to give people an advantage, but, you know, that's part of the draft. And if you know what combo you're looking for, so that's another thing. I think the more you play this game, the more you'll know the synergies of the cards, which always helps in a game. But I do like the fact that, you know, the replayability comes in with the Doom track, what resources you have to play, because that shifts up and down. The cards that do come out during the favor cards that are part of it, that's different depending on
Charlie
when you're
Horse,
playing it.
Charlie Horse, Charlie Horse.
Play through it. Play through it, man. You can play through it.
So anyway, yeah, it's a great game. It's a great game. I enjoyed it.
Pinch your upper lip. Pinch your upper lip.
Your upper lip. What does that do?
Do it.
It doesn't do anything, man.
Yes, it does. You got to keep doing it. Put paint on it. Put paint on it. It works for me.
Oh, okay.
Here, let me call 911. So if you get a chance to play this one,
it's gone.
Good. I'm glad that it's gone, that you survived through it. You played through the pain. I hear you. Definitely take a look at it. I mean, it's, you know, on Amazon Venture Market in that area, you're looking at a $52 game, gorgeous production, straightforward rules. If you enjoy the Martin Wallace games, then I think this is one that you definitely need to check out.
Yeah, I do too. I think the thing that stressed me out the most was the unrest, but that was also the unique thing of this game to me. We've played drafting games. We've played resource swapping and kind of engine building games. The little twist, the little uniqueness that really stood out for sure was that unrest, because of just the tension that it caused at the entire table, the entire game. I typically do like Martin Wallace games, and this is one I like also.
So that is Aeterna from Ares Games. Head over to Miniature Market, get your gaming needs, get your game on, get that game face on. Get it over there. We'll get ready for your Halloween adventures. I'm sure there's some horror games out there that you could get. Horrified, you know, go look that one up. I bet if you were to type horror in the search term, let's see what happens. I'm going to type horror in the search term and see what comes up. Oh my goodness. It is littered literally with Arkham horror. Imagine that. Horror. See what happened there? But there's even more than that. There's other types of games. It's got, oh my goodness, there's 145 results for games that have some type of horror theme. Head over to Miniature Market for all your gaming needs.
Five-minute initiative begins in 3, 2, 1.
When you hear the name Chip Theory Games, you already know that when you open this box, the production is actually going to be top notch. There's very well going to be some nice neoprene mats, possibly some dice, some games as poker chips, but not all of them. And that's the case with Wroth. This is a up to 4-player area control game designed by Manny Tremblay. We have been in this phase of playing a lot of area control games, and this was pitched by the guys at Chip Theory saying, hey, well, you want like an hour, easy to learn area control? I said, yes, I would. And I will say, Tony, the game loop of this game is really straightforward. Draft some dice, take the actions of the dice, which is going to be deploy some troops onto a very colorful map, neoprene map, by the way. Move some troops, maybe do some damage to other troops with the goal of trying to be in control of a zone with a victory point token. And at the end, you're going to count up victory points of wherever you are, and the first person to get to 30 points wins. So the standard game loop is pretty straightforward in this game. And by the way, it has drafting, so I love drafting.
Where was the drafting? Oh, it was the dice.
It was the dice. You roll the dice, you draft the dice, and the dice dictate what you could do. Again, like deploy, move, deal damage to an adjacent area, etc.
All that fun stuff. Now, of course, all these guys are asymmetric, which I like, different powers.
There's the kicker. You say, well, Marty, that sounds really kind of basic. It is. The thing is, though, is every faction is extremely unique in this game, and that's what sets it apart. So the game loop, easy. The funness is the unique factions.
That's right. And at the start of the game, you got your faction, you're reading through these special abilities. You get to bring one to the table. The rest of them go back in the box. So there's your replayability with these guys. And they all have different dice or for their army people that will come out on the board. And they do different stuff than everybody else. So you kind of need to be aware of that, because when these dice come out on the board, they have more health points than their standard troops.
Yeah, the basic soldiers that everybody has is basically 1 point of damage, and they're just removed from the map. Where what's interesting is the other stronger units are dice, but they're not anything you roll. The dice are just used basically as a life counter. You spin it down as they lose life, and once they get off one, they're gone too. But they can come back. Your troops ain't coming back typically unless there's a faction that can pull them back from the dead, which we actually had one of those factions in our game.
And there's your strategy, because pretty much everybody is touchable in this map. You know how sometimes you got to move and position around this map? There's only a few sections that aren't, but generally, let's just say, and that to me was probably one of the harder things to grasp on this map, even though it was pretty straightforward. I just couldn't, I had to kept for some odd reason think, is that, oh yeah, of course I can get to that person. Oh wait, that's just a big circle. I'm touching everybody there until I get to that break right there. Oh, that doesn't matter, except the spawn zones. You can't attack people in the spawn zones. There's no camping going on in this game.
No, I do appreciate that. You can't camp a spawn zone and just start picking people off. One thing I too like, Tony, is like in a 4-player game that we played, you're going to roll 9 dice. Everybody gets 2 dice. But what I like is there's a catch-up mechanic. The person who is lowest on the victory point track gets that 3rd die. So that means that's one extra action that they get to take. Everybody also has something called an all-knowing die. On the beginning of a round, you're going to roll your all-knowing die. And this die is basically a free action. Another free action you use on your turn, which could be to do things like generate damage. You could repeat an action that you just took. You could deal 2 damage to an area. Tony, there is one other thing we need to talk about, and that is Choria. That is basically a resource that's used in this game that if you draft a die with the Choria symbol, you get to take one of those Choria. Choria is what you spend to put your unique units or your really strong units out onto the board, or maybe do special abilities. For example, I had these ranger guys where I could spend Choria in order to just deal damage across the board. Like they had range, like a little bow. It's very thematic.
And I think mine were along the lines of if you got to do damage, I got to steal Choria from people. So it's very, they were thieves. They were going out. They killed you. We ransacked your supply carts. So yeah, so you're battling over control or domination if you're the only player there.
Then you get an extra victory point if that's the case.
So if you're in control, then you get the victory point shown on the victory point token, which is put out randomly. But if you have troops there and you're not in control, they have victory points too. So it does not benefit people to sit there and ignore. If you don't have control, hey, I'm just going to ignore his elite troops. No, You need to go after them. Because I'll be honest with y'all, I had elite troops all over the board. I didn't have control, and y'all were ignoring them. And I just kept racking up victory points.
And those elite troops generate victory points. That is a very good point. And also, some of these zones, the victory points of the zones are random at the beginning of each game. Actually, some of these victory point zones also have an additional ability called spoils. At the beginning of a round, if you control an area that has a spoil, you get to take that action that's on it. For like, if I control the zone that has a spoil of a Coria, like mine, I get a gem. One is move, one is maneuver, one is do another battle. So those zones are even more valuable, but just because it just gives you an extra action before you even draft dice.
So, and the last thing I'm going to mention about this game, I enjoyed the game. Very fast moving. I like it when an area control game is fast moving. You can play competitive, but you also have the ability to play cooperative together against an AI opponent. That's pretty cool. We didn't get a chance to play that, but I like that they put that in there because not everybody wants to be battling. They want to go and beat an alien off the world.
Yeah, no, that's true. And it's also one of those things, too, in many air control games, when you got that one lobster that's clawing to the top, everybody else immediately tried to grab some, pulling down, and that's what we were doing in this game, too. But like I said, none of us just noticed that Tony was just kind of lazily getting a point here, and where Tony at the end goes, yeah, I got 30 points, I won.
That's it.
Oh, that's a good game. Nice job.
Everybody's like, I can take care of him. I'm going to shut him down. I'm sitting there going, okay, there's an elite dice there, an elite dice there. They're not attacking there. That's 5 points. I need 5 points for the victory points. Oh, so you took control. La-di-da. I got 5 elite dice out there. That's 5 victory points. Boom. Done.
Well, see, I like that, right? So it's not necessary. There are other ways to score victory points. Again, this game comes with 5 factions. There's other factions that you can buy that has additional figures and mats for those particular factions. Simple 60-minute 4-player, up to 4-player. I think this is going to be probably the best with 4-player. Dice drafting, easy to understand game where the asymmetric factions are what make it really stand out. I enjoyed it. I'm going to keep it on my shelf as that fast go-to area control game. That's Wroth from Chip Theory Games.
5-minute initiative is complete.
Well, you know, whenever we play games, I love to create sort of an ambient atmosphere. If we're playing Lord of the Rings, I'm playing Lord of the Rings music, etc. But if you really want to add some more elements to that besides just music, let me talk about this really cool app. It's called Tabletone. This app mixes not only music, but ambient sounds. It is basically an adaptive audio engine that you can tweak to change whatever feeling that you're having. If you're relaxed feeling, it'll play some relaxed music. If you're going into some action and fight, you can create a very action-based scenario. You can have certain locations. Maybe you're in a tavern, you hear jars clinking, or you're in the woods and you hear like the rustle of leaves. Tony, this app is really cool. Just basically you click where you're at, what you want. You can change the intensity level. You can change the mood. And it just morphs one right into the other. If you're in a relaxed state and all of a sudden it's like, people are coming over the hill, we have to fight. Press a button and it just gently moves into more of an action-based theme. It is a really cool concept.
Let me make sure I'm understanding you right here. So it's pretty straightforward. You don't have to sit there and fiddle with it. I mean, it sounds like it's designed for the game master or for whoever, is hosting this during game night. They say, hey, we're getting ready to go do a big battle. Boom. This just happens. Well, that's pretty darn cool.
It is.
And I guess their library is always growing. They're going to continue to grow this customizable library.
Of course they are. Because you can have settings in fantasy. You can have settings in sci-fi. I've seen like a setting for Warhammer. And here's the thing. None of this is AI. All this is 100% human-generated sound effects and music. Again, I'm just so impressed by the UI itself that at a touch of a button, it just morphs into one location to another. If this is something you think you'd be interested in, you need to go check out Tabletone. You can download it for iOS and Android. You can get a free 14-day trial. And if you use code TONE30, you can get 30% off the first 3 months of your subscription. That is Tabletone over at tabletone.app, or just look for it on the Apple Store or Google Play.
All right, mentioned this in the intro. It's that time of year where we, do the aeration, we get ready for Halloween. Just like the title of the show, Faithfully, we faithfully talk about the annual Toy Hall of Fame finalist. It's that time to bring back the childhood, time to bring back, man, these were some of our favorites. And I was looking over this list, Marty, that you sent, and I must say, they're not as old as things in the past.
No, there's not a lot of like super old things like we've seen. So what we typically do is we just go through them real quick, just kind of explain if we want to add anything we can. And then at the end, we're going to pick each of us will pick 3 that we think are going to make it this year. Just see how well our guess is. So Tony, let's get started. The classic game of Battleship.
Okay, you sank it.
Yep, sink it. Sink it really. Catan, which is really cool. 1990s game, kind of the father of German style games that got real big.
Yeah, and then you got Connect 4, one of the games I hated growing up because spatial relations are not my thing.
I love Connect 4.
I know. I do not like Connect 4.
I played in an office environment where we had a Connect 4 game at a table, and we would just challenge each other every so often. It was fun.
I'd get my yogurt and walk back to my desk. I'd be done with that
A big
crap.
game that you see played at all the bars and pubs. Cornhole.
And tailgates.
And sporting events. Yeah, sporting events. Yeah. Cornhole. Yeah. Do you play a lot of cornhole?
I do not, and I don't even watch the national championships on ESPN. I've built a board. I helped somebody build some boards, but no, I have not played a lot of cornhole.
As a former softball pitcher, you do well.
It's all right. Next, something I never really dug, understood, whatever. Furby, a fuzzy creature with piglet ears, a bird beak, and a drowsy blinking eyes. That is just weird. That thing will come off your shelf and eat you.
Yeah, 1998, and more than 40 million Furbies were sold. I remember the craze.
Mm-hmm.
Next is Scooter. Well, there's your older toy right there. A scooter, little scooter with wheels and a handle.
Or if you go back to the 60s, 50s, 40s, it was basically a crate with a piece of 2x4 nailed to the top, a board on the bottom, nailed to the crate, and then 2 roller skating wheel trucks put on that. There was your scooter.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Mm-hmm. Slime. Oh, 1976? Really?
Wow, that's newer than I thought. I enjoy playing with slime.
You can make your own slime.
Yeah, actually, Vanessa's done that before. She's done it with the boys. All right, the next one is the one where I always have a point of contention. Snow.
And snowballs.
Yeah, it just says snow. It doesn't say snowballs.
But it's snowballs packed in. They were there, so you could have a snowball fight inside. That's
stupid. I'm sorry. I still think anything can be made into a toy. This Pop-Tart wrapper that I'm looking at right now, I can make into a toy. When's it going to be nominated?
Hey, it's an airplane, a Pop-Tart airplane.
Anyway, snow.
All right, something I never got into, but because I could not keep the stupid thing down on the board. Yeah, stop pointing at yourself. I understand how beautiful it was and all these fun things you could do. You could sit there. I mean, this is back before there were video games.
What is it?
It's called Spirograph. I
love Spirograph. I love Spirograph. I played with that so much as a kid. The ink pens would run out and I need to get more ink pens. I do agree with you. You're trying to make a really cool design and the stupid gear wheel slips out of the ring. It's like, oh man, I just messed up my design. I got to start again. I see your points of problem, but you put the pen in it so it doesn't move so you can run. Yeah, I love Spirograph.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right, next, the Star Wars lightsaber. It's a cardboard tube.
I was getting ready to say, this is a stick. That's all it is. That's got batteries in it. That's a plastic tube that's got color light. That a white light shows up and makes it orange or blue or whatever. But oh man, and us poor kids, we just basically got spray paint and painted a stick.
What's next?
All right, what's next is something that I believe I was helping my aunt clean out her basement, and I look at this box and I go, "You've got to be kidding me! Is this what I think it is?" She goes, "Oh yeah, absolutely, the very first one." And I go, "Why do you have this?" She goes, "They were hot, and I just happened to get it." And I go, "Aunt Evelyn, you have a Tickle Me Elmo original?
Is it worth anything?"
I don't know. I'm holding on to it for my daughter. So if she ever has kids, she can have.
I mean, is it still in the box?
Still in the box, sealed.
Still in the box, sealed. Going to eBay, $50.
Oh, thing was the most obnoxious thing in the world. I'm going to take it out now. Bet the batteries have got acid in them. It's leaked all over Elmo.
That was 1996. That was before the whole Furby craze. Tickle Me Elmo was insane. I mean, that probably was the Jingle All the Way. That's probably what kicked off the Jingle All the Way movie with the people going crazy over the toy. I remember at Toys R Us, they were announcing when trucks were coming in, but people be waiting outside for those things.
Yeah.
Tickle Me Elmo. Now, the next game is another board game that I played the mess out of in the 80s. I loved this game, Trivial Pursuit. We had a family copy and we played all the time, except the one rule what's the one rule you think I hated, Tony?
It was the fact that when you got to the center, people could tell you which category to win.
That, but you also have to roll the exact number to get to the middle.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. I didn't play a lot of Trivial. Here's the guy who runs trivia in his neighborhood, but we did not play a lot of it. So, yeah.
I think that's one of my reasons from the disdain of card games. It doesn't have any sort of mitigation for bad die rolls. It's like, I need a 3, roll a 4. Need a 1, roll a 2, over. And then you finally get to the middle. Why don't you do arts and literature? Crap! I don't want to do that one.
That's right.
Anyway, Trivial Pursuit, played the mess out of that game. So we played a lot on family vacations. All right, Tony, 3 you think that you're going to go in, and we'll just ping pong back and forth. What's going to be your first one?
My first one, I think, I got to give it a shout out to the board game, but I think it's going to be Battleship.
Of the board games on here, I think that's the most obvious one too. I was going to go with Battleship. I will agree with that one.
I mean, just how iconic is that commercial? You sang my Battleship. We can all.
Everybody has played it. Everybody.
Absolutely. All right. Now your turn.
Dude, I don't know number 2. This I don't know if I want to pick another board game, but of all these, the collectible, man, I don't know. See, the thing is that Furby and Tickle Me Elmo it's just an historical moment, like a moment in time, but I don't think either of those have an historical impact. So I'm going to go with, I am going with another game. I am going to go with Catan.
Okay.
I think if these people look at this as like, this did kind of kick off a whole hobby genre of game. I'm going with Catan.
You did the historical for me on Tickle Me Elmo and the people waiting outside Toys R Us and the runs and one of the, where you brought the animatronics to the masses and everybody had to, even if you didn't have a kid, you had to have a Tickle Me Elmo because they were just so obnoxious.
So you're going with Tickle Me as your next one?
Tickle Me. Tickle Me's next.
What's your last one?
My last one is, as I look over this, I'm no disrespect to Catan, but you know what? I'm going to have to say Slime.
Okay.
And the reason why is I think of Nickelodeon Slime. Every kid played with Slime. You've mentioned it. Maybe they'll get associated. I mean, there's Slimes just you can make it on your own. Everybody loves playing with slime. I didn't like getting things on my hands. But okay, what about you?
I'm down between 2, but I think I'm going to have to go with the Star Wars lightsaber. It's because everybody has acted like they had a lightsaber since the 70s. Right. Every kid's done it. Exactly right. So even though I've never had an official lightsaber, I sure as heck, took my cardboard tube and made the sounds myself. So, hey, all right. So here's the deal. Go to our Discord channel. You can find the links over on our website, rolldicetakenames.com. If you haven't join there and come tell us, of these, which 3 do you think are going to make the Toy Hall of Fame? And when they announce it, it's in October, November-ish timeframe. We'll for sure have another segment and talk about who won.
And with that, keep rolling dice
and taking names. Hey, y'all, thanks for listening. Make sure to follow us on our socials at Dyson Names at Instagram, X. Come follow us on Facebook. Make sure to join our Discord channel, rolldicetakenames.com. If you want the link, we're over there talking about stuff all the time. Lots of times when we do giveaways, that's where we're going to do it.
All right. Gemini has said, immediate release for Charlie horses. When it strikes, gently stretch the muscle, which hurts like all. I don't care what you say, Marty. For calf cramps, stand up and put weight on the affected leg while bending your knee. I would crumple. I could just see that. How do you do that? I don't understand.
Does it say anything about pinching your lip?
Massage. There you go. Massaging your lip. No, okay, it doesn't say anything. It works for me. Leave me alone.
Hey there, I'm Hugh from Podderation. If you like today's episode, why not check out Tartan Tabletop, a D&D show as Scottish as it sounds. I won't terrify you with my attempt at a Scottish accent, but I can assure you that Tartan Tabletop is some of the funniest tabletop content you will hear all year. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.